Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to untangle this incredible web of high-tech companies, top-secret programs, and national labs. And it turns out they're all connected by one single, pretty revolutionary technology.
So what's the link? What connects a public, billion-dollar fusion energy company to a super-secret space engine? Well, the answer is this deep well of very specific expertise, what people on the inside call tribal knowledge. And it was all born inside America's national weapons labs. Let's dive in and trace how that knowledge built two completely different worlds.
Okay, so here's the game plan. We'll start with where this tech came from, then follow it as it splits down two roads, one public, one highly secret. We'll map out the big commercial players, peel back the curtain on the shadowy frontier where the real cutting-edge stuff happens, and then we'll look at the global race that's heating up around all of this.
All right, first things first. We need to get a handle on the core ideas that this whole ecosystem is built on.
The technology at the heart of everything is called a field-reversed configuration, or an FRC. Now, the easiest way to picture it is like a self-contained, super-stable smoke ring, but made of plasma hotter than the sun. It's an incredibly efficient magnetic bottle for fusion energy. Its secret sauce is something called high beta, which basically means the plasma itself does most of the hard work of holding itself together, making the whole thing powerful and compact.
And this is where that tribal knowledge comes in. We're talking about decades of specialized, hands-on, often unwritten expertise that came out of places like Los Alamos. It's that practical, hard-won experience that you just can't learn from a textbook. This created a small, tight-knit community of experts, the tribe, and their knowledge became the seed for literally everything that followed.
Okay, so from this one single origin point, this one pool of knowledge, the technology forks. It splits down two very different paths, and what's wild is, it's often the very same people walking down both roads.
And this slide, wow, it just lays out that split perfectly. On one side, you have Helion Energy. This is the public face of FRCs, right? They've raised over $1 billion from heavy hitters like Sam Altman, and their goal is clean fusion energy for the power grid. Then, on the other side, you've got MSNW, a much smaller company that took all that FRC knowledge and went down a totally different path, building a top-secret propulsion system for a national security customer.
You can literally see the moment MSNW went into the shadows just by following the money. For years, they were getting public grants from NASA and the Department of Defense for their fusion-driven rocket. Everything's out in the open. And then, bam, after 2017, the public money trail just goes dead cold. That's a classic tell. It's a huge sign that the tech got good enough that it was pulled into a much bigger, much more secret government program.
And here's the kicker. This is where the public and secret worlds are just undeniably tied together. While MSNW was going dark, Helion was still out in the open, pushing the science forward, basically acting as a training ground and talent pool for the entire field. But the connection isn't just an idea, it's a person, Dr. John Slow. He founded MSNW and he co-founded Helion. One person, literally embodying both paths of this technology.
So let's zoom out a bit and look at the wider commercial world. You're about to see just how far this tribal knowledge has really spread.
What you're looking at here is basically the family tree of FRC technology. Look at the pattern in that last column. Tay Technologies? They hired a top expert straight out of Los Alamos. General Atomics? They're a defense giant that leverages its expertise from running the whole U.S. National Fusion Facility. Pacific Fusion? It's packed with key people from Lawrence Livermore and Sandia Labs. Hyperjet is even running its experiments at a Los Alamos facility. You see? It's no coincidence. They're all drinking from the same well.
Now, let's drill down on TAE for a second, because this is where things get complicated. They use a slightly different kind of FRC that needs a really critical piece of hardware called a neutral beam injector. Think of it like a giant particle gun that keeps the plasma stable. The thing is, they get these injectors from the Butker Institute in Russia, which is linked to the state. This creates a huge counterintelligence risk. It's like giving a geopolitical rival a front-row seat to one of America's leading tech programs.
Okay, now we're going to venture a little deeper. We're following the people and the money into the shadowy world of what they call gray track companies, where public science is used to feed secret projects.
This quote just nails the whole strategy. Government agencies, like the Department of Energy, are using public money to grow this entire ecosystem. They're like gardeners. But what they're also doing is creating these pathways, these channels, for the best technology and the smartest people to quietly flow over into the classified world when they're ready.
And this is where you find the people on the absolute frontier. Companies like Unlab, led by a guy who used to be at Lockheed's legendary Skunk Works, exploring some really exotic physics. But here's the fascinating part. They are not just working alone in a garage somewhere. They're being actively connected and curated by program managers at the National Science Foundation, who are intentionally building a network to speed up innovation in these really far-out fields.
Behind all the big names, there's this whole network of specialized suppliers. Take Teledyne in the UK. They make these things called thyratrons. They're basically the ultra-fast, super powerful switches you need to even create an FRC in the first place. But there's a really strange signal with them. They're the best in the world, but they never publish papers about their most advanced research. This signature of silence is a huge clue. When a market leader goes quiet, it usually means their biggest customer is in the classified world and doesn't want them talking.
All right, for our last section, let's pull the camera all the way back. Because this whole American ecosystem doesn't exist in a vacuum. It's actually part of a really high-stakes global competition.
And this scorecard shows you it is a full-on race. Russia has its own state-run labs, like the Kurchatov Institute, that have been working on parallel programs for a long time. And China is pouring massive amounts of money into its own efforts and is catching up incredibly fast. So this isn't just about pure science anymore. It's a real technology race with huge geopolitical stakes.
So the big takeaway here is that we're watching this massive, interconnected effort to master this FRC technology. It's happening out in the open, and it's happening deep in the shadows. And that leaves us with one final, really provocative question. If the billion-dollar startups we can see are just the tip of the iceberg, what in the world are they building with all that classified investment in the hidden